Good evening and welcome. I'm Craig Allen, Chief Meteorologist for WCBS News Radio 880 and a Long Islander for most of my life. Tonight, it is my pleasure to be with you for Island Harvest's Taste of the Harvest at Home virtual gala event. The Taste of the Harvest Gala has been one of Long Island's best and most successful charity galas for over 20 years, attracting almost 600 community and corporate leaders each year for a tasting from some of the island's finest restaurants. Over the years, that event has raised millions of dollars to support the important work Island Harvest does each day to help those who struggle to put food on their tables. Plans were already underway for this year's event when the COVID-19 pandemic began in March. Unable to host an in-person event this year, Island Harvest has transformed its annual gala into an event that promises to be an exciting experience for each of you, the hundreds of friends and sponsors who are joining us from your home kitchens this evening. And what a night we have planned for you. In a few minutes, you will experience the challenge and the enjoyment of preparing a gourmet 3-course meal, along with 3 of Long Island's most prominent and talented chefs. We are grateful for your support of this event and for your participation. In many years of involvement with Island Harvest, I have seen this outstanding organization respond to crises such as hurricanes, floods, recessions, and government shutdowns, all of which impacted the lives of so many across the island. But this COVID-19 pandemic is different. It has placed more people at risk, affected those most vulnerable in our community, and caused more damage to the economy than any we have experienced before. But thanks to special friends like you, Island Harvest has been a first responder and has been on the front lines each day helping those impacted by this virus since day one. Island Harvest is there when the breezes of spring warm the earth. We are there during the hot, humid, record-breaking days of summer, and we are there when the temperature begins to drop ahead of the cold days of winter when some have to choose between shelter and food. Island Harvest is there to provide food, programs, and hope to those who need it most. So, from one proud Long Islander to all of you joining us tonight, I say thanks for your generous support of a truly wonderful and worthy organization. And now it is my pleasure to introduce the chairman of the board of directors, Doug Najary.
Thank you, Craig. That was beautiful and frankly a very tough act to follow. Good evening, everyone. I'm Doug Najary, and it's my privilege to serve as Island Harvest Board Chair. We've never done this virtually, and I hope that we can meet face-to-face next year. So whether we're doing this virtually or actually, let me welcome you to Taste of the Harvest, and thank you for coming, and thank you for your support. I'd also like to thank our presenting sponsor, New York Community Bank, and they've always been there for us, and the many other sponsors that have helped to make this event a success. You'll see their names during the evening, and it'll scroll across the program. This has been a difficult year, a challenging year, and it continues to challenge us. We were hit, as we all know, by a pandemic, a plague of literally biblical proportion. We see more neighbors suffering than ever before. This organization, our organization, frankly, we were bloodied, but we were not bowed. And what do I mean by that? Our supply chain was disrupted, our distribution network was virtually closed, and our staff, our volunteers had to scramble. And they found new sources of food. They devised new ways to reach people in need. They were creative, and they literally took it to the street. I was there, and I can tell you that we saw many new faces on our food lines. The new face of food insecurity, what I saw, cuts across spectrums of color, of creed, of age, and even of perceived affluence. We see the faces of past volunteers on our food lines. We see the faces of donors on our food lines. Things have changed. Many families across this country and here on Long Island, and we've always said this at Island Harvest, they're one paycheck away from food insecurity. So when businesses shuttered, we saw more hunger. We saw more poverty. We saw more suffering. We saw resignation on the faces of some and panic on the faces of others. This is a crisis of epic proportion, no question. And there's some good news and there's some bad news. We now feed far more friends and neighbors than ever before, but we do it with the same astounding efficiencies that we always have, 94 cents out of every dollar that we take in is spent on our programs. 94 cents out of every dollar. Food insecurity, this is not a local problem, and it's about much more than filling bellies and feeling good. Food insecurity deprives kids of the ability to develop physically, emotionally, and neurologically. These are proven facts. It depletes adults of their health and their vitality. It erodes our workforce, your workers, our businesses. My view, and I'm not posturing or being political, food security is national security. This country needs a healthy, vital population to survive and to thrive. Folks, this is where the rubber meets the road. It's your donations, it's your generosity that keeps our shelves stocked, that keeps our trucks on the road, that keeps our lights on, and that keeps our warehouse open. We can get there, but we need your help, and we depend on your generosity. When I talk about what we do, what Island Harvest does, I'm really talking about our staff and about Randy Dresner. Randy Dresner is Island Harvest President and CEO. She is a dedicated, driven woman. She continues to find the path for us and to light our way. So please meet my very good friend, Randy Shubin Dresner.
Thank you, Doug, for your kind words, and my thanks to you and our dedicated board for years of inspiring leadership as we work together to end hunger and reduce food waste here on Long Island. I'm honored to be here with you tonight, with all of you, for what I believe will be a magical evening. The ability to have this event and to be welcomed into your home through the miracle of technology is unbelievably meaningful. I could recall the date as though it was yesterday, March 9th, and from that day forward, Island Harvest Food Bank began taking the lead to meet the growing need for food, programs, and services for those struggling to put food on their tables because of this pandemic. Within hours, we mobilized our Emergency Response Center, which still remains in place and probably will be well into 2022. Throughout this response, we've partnered with businesses, with school districts, local and state governments, and community agencies. Our first mass distribution was in Riverhead. It was followed by many others across Long Island, and then led to large-scale events at shopping malls in Massapequa and Bayshore, and then the Nassau Coliseum. At each, by the end of the day, we would have provided food and supplies to anywhere from between 100 and 4,000 families, with cars snaked around parking lots and lines that were hours long. You've certainly seen these similar images on national TV. We created a new home delivery program to help seniors who were too frail or afraid to venture out, and veterans who served our country but didn't know how they would serve their family their next meal. We partnered with more than 30 school districts to provide students with vitally needed food, and we worked with over 400 local pantries to get food into the hands of those turning to us for help. We secured donated warehouse space, and with the help of retired military and amazing volunteers, we began a new program sorting and packaging over 85,000 meal boxes. In the spring, we received a call from Dorothea and John Bon Jovi, who were opening a food bank on the east end of Long Island to help mitigate the crisis out east. They asked us for technical assistance to get their food distribution program up and running, to assist in creating a warehouse, to help them hire staff and distribute food, and to secure volunteers. For 18 weeks, they served thousands of people in need on the East End. It is my pleasure to introduce Dorothea and John.
Thank you for that warm introduction. I hope that you guys are enjoying your evening.
We just wanted to add our voices to the great work that Island Harvest and all the pantries across Long Island do to serve those in need. We worked with Island Harvest when we were starting our own emergency food bank, the JBJ Soul Kitchen Food Bank on the East End, in response to the growing numbers of families the pantries were serving.
Some pantries were seeing a 500% increase during the spring. Many pantries are going to stores in Riverhead to purchase food at retail. Through our relationships, we were able to purchase and supply 7 pantries from Southampton to Montauk with over 238 tons of food from May through September.
And during those 18 weeks, we saw volunteers packing bags during a power outage, volunteers distributing food from a tent in temperatures over 90 degrees. We saw churches, classrooms, and any extra space turned into food storage and distribution centers. We saw what is possible when we care for each other, and we were proud to be a small part of that.
It takes all of us working together to make an impact, especially during these very difficult times. You see, hunger is an issue that most of us can understand. Luckily, it doesn't take a vaccine to cure hunger. It just takes ending poverty.
So let's get on that.
In the meantime, have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dorothea and John. We're honored by this partnership. You know, the numbers and impact of Island Harvest work are staggering. Since March, we have helped over 400,000 families, distributed more than 13 million pounds of food, which provides over 11 million meals in almost every zip code across Long Island. Well, now it's time to open up your gala boxes as we head over to the Garden City Hotel for what's going to be an incredible cooking experience with our renowned chefs. We're moderated by Newsday's own food reporter, food critic, and columnist, Erica Marcus. I'll see you later for the recognition of tonight's special and most deserving honorees. It's over to you, Erica.
Thank you, and welcome to the kitchen of the Garden City Hotel. We are cooking dinner tonight. You've all received the ingredients in your boxes. We've got Claudia Fleming on dessert, Guy Rouge on entree, and David Burke on appetizer. So we're going to start with dessert, and that means over to you, Claudia Fleming.
Hey,
Claudia.
Erica. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. So we thought we'd start with dessert tonight so that it's finished and just set aside and we can have a seamless transition from entree to dessert.
Perfect.
Okay? So this evening I'm going to be making brown butter maple roasted pears with maple pecans and a sweetened goat cheese cream. I love fruit for dessert after a special meal like this.
Sure.
And I particularly love roasting fruit because it really concentrates flavors.
Yeah.
And it's super tasty, but it doesn't weigh you down. You don't feel like you want to nap at the end of dinner. So we're gonna start by roasting our pecans. So very simple, and feel free to double or quadruple the recipe. These are great to have in your pantry. They're terrific on yogurt or oatmeal, squash, sweet potatoes. They're great.
Could you do this with walnuts if you didn't have pecans?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I do this with most nuts. I very rarely serve a raw nut or an untoasted nut that hasn't been sugared a little bit.
Now the maple syrup that you use, that looked like sort of a dark amber maple syrup.
Yes, it is. It's a darker green.
Which has more flavor.
Which has more flavor, yes. It's kind of like olive oil. It's not the first pressing. It's like either the second or the third.
Okay.
So maple syrup, some maple sugar, which is really fun.
If you didn't have maple sugar, could you just use regular sugar?
Absolutely, absolutely. This just bumps up the maple flavor a little bit more. So we are going to put these nuts in a low oven, 325 degrees, so that they cook evenly, and we don't run the risk of burning them.
Okay.
And they also toast more thoroughly this way.
And I see you didn't make a big deal of chopping evenly. Some pieces are bigger, smaller.
Exactly,
It doesn't matter.
Exactly. Yep. So the walnuts also add a crunchy, crispy element to our dish.
Yep.
So while those are roasting, we are going to prepare our pears. So we have Bosc pears here, and they're halved. And I generally only cook with Bosc pears. Both Bartlett and Anjous get very soft.
Okay.
And Bosc pears really want to be cooked because they're, like you were saying, they're a little mealy in nature.
So would you say that it's okay to cook with slightly underripe pears?
Yes.
Better underripe than overripe?
Absolutely.
And you're using a melon baller.
I'm using a melon baller, but you know what? A rounded measuring spoon works equally well.
Hard to believe it would work better than that. That's like magic.
It is, but I don't know that everybody has a melon baller in there.
Everyone, go out and buy a melon baller.
I use it to core all fruit.
Do you ever use it to ball melons?
Rarely.
Okay.
I liked diced melon or sliced melon. Yeah, this works so much better than, apple cores. I find those to be a total nightmare.
Yeah.
You never get through the apple,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. Okay, so roasting in brown butter. Now, what is brown butter?
What is brown butter?
What is brown butter? Brown butter is very simply melted regular butter.
Yeah.
So we melt it and cook it until the milk solids start to turn brown.
Okay.
So we don't, and that's going to take about 5 minutes, but this is what it looks like.
Yeah, it's a little
See?
harder to see in a dark
pan. Ideally,
But
you want
it
a
is-
light pan.
It is brown.
And yes, the milk solids turn brown, and the purpose here is that it elicits a nutty taste.
Yeah, more with the nutty.
Exactly, more with the nutty. It's a great complement to the maple. It just enhances it beautifully. So we want this to get nice and hot.
Now, when you're making brown butter, do you run the risk of turning it into black butter?
You sure do.
Okay.
That's why you want to stay very close by and keep your eye on it all the time. It goes very quickly. So we are in effect going to sear these. Oh, yeah. So we're just going to get them nice and brown.
And once again, it's always important to think about the size of your pan before you start putting things in it, because you need to fit them all.
Excellent point. Excellent point.
And you've chosen a perfect pan.
I have a little practice.
Okay.
What I think my nuts are probably done. So we're going to take these out.
Oh, that didn't take long.
No, they don't take long. And they're going to be all nice and beautiful and crispy once they cool down. Okay. So to this, we are going to add maple syrup.
More maple syrup.
More maple syrup. It's all about the maple. Some freshly grated ginger, which is a super assertive spice or tuber when it's fresh.
Yep.
And a little bit goes a long way. So off the heat, we're going to do this because
Stepping back.
it's going to bubble up.
Wow, you can really see how dark that is.
Yeah, it's delicious. And there's our ginger.
And that is,
This is vanilla paste.
but you could use extract if
You can use extract, yes. Ideally, you want a vanilla bean in here, but paste or extract works fine. Okay, so now what's going to happen is we're going to put this in the oven.
Oh,
At 400 degrees, we've just cranked up the oven. From anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the ripeness of your pears. If they're more ripe, they're going to cook more quickly.
and it's important that your pan be able to go into the oven
Correct.
before you
Yes.
decide on
That's
your
a
pan.
silicone handle, so not to worry.
Can my silicone handles go in the oven?
Apparently, I just
That is-
learned that.
Yay!
I know, I know.
Because it's the devil to try to yank them
To
off.
yank it off. I tried to do that, but because I didn't have silicone handles at my restaurant, so I don't know anything about that.
Claudia, if you were forced to use ground ginger, not fresh ginger, could you do it?
Sure. Sure. You can always substitute. Nothing, there are no rules written in stone. I mean, they may be, but there's always a substitute for something. Okay, so while those are roasting,
Yes.
we are going to whip our sweetened goat cheese cream.
Okie doke.
And we're going to do that over here. So the goat cheese cream really is a lovely complement to the maple syrup. It really kind of moderates the sweet aspect. And, you want to make sure you're using fresh goat cheese, right?
And you want to make sure it's not covered in ash Or peppercorns
That's
or
what I mean,
anything else?
fresh, not aged
Yeah.
at all. We're just looking for a little bit of tang here
Uh-huh.
from the cheese. And we are going to whip that together with some heavy whipping cream.
I've never seen anybody whip goat cheese.
Oh, really?
I guess I'm hanging around with the wrong people.
Maybe. A little bit of confectioner's sugar. I mean, it whips up so nicely with heavy cream, you know, and again, it tempers the sweetness. So it's really a lovely addition.
Oh, that's the vanilla paste.
There we have our vanilla paste. Again, it has little bits of the vanilla seeds in there.
Oh,
So it's really cool.
so
Just
it's more vanilla-y than
yes, yes,
vanilla
a little more
extract.
robust flavor. Okay,
Hey, here you go.
all right. Now, ideally, you want to do this in a mixer because the goat cheese is a little tough to loosen up,
Yeah,
but
but you're a pro.
if you work those muscles,
Yeah.
it's a good workout, actually. You'll be fine. You want to whip it till it's stiff. Okay, now, back to our pears.
So I noticed you did not peel the pears.
I don't peel the pears.
I love that.
They have a super thin skin.
Uh-huh.
You know, sometimes if they're super ripe, they'll come right off,
Yeah.
but not always.
Oh, those look so lovely.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to take these out of the maple cooking liquid. So these have cooled in their liquid, their roasting liquid.
So how long would you cool them?
About a half hour.
Oh, God, that looks so good.
And we're gonna put this back on the stove and add a little bit of bourbon, because
Always a good
a
idea.
little bit of bourbon never hurt anybody. Okay, you see how it's kind of set up?
Yeah.
Okay, so once we add the bourbon, it'll loosen up. We'll have our pan sauce.
So this recipe is very much akin to your basic sear a piece of meat, finish it in the oven,
I'm so happy.
deglaze the
yes,
pan,
exactly right.
pour it over the meat.
Exactly
Except
right.
for it's
you
a
know,
pear.
It's so. You know, I'm really more fond of calling myself a dessert chef than a pastry chef.
Okay.
There's real no pastry in this dish.
Right.
And for me, when I'm eating a big dinner, I don't want a big piece of pastry afterwards. I want something that's going to go down easily and is incredibly flavorful. So that's what I tried to create here. Now, if you want to serve it with a shortbread cookie, perfect, awesome. But
This-
again,
But this, I mean, this method of roasting stone fruit, I mean, you could just whipped cream, creme fraiche, whatever, Bob's your
Dessert.
uncle. Yeah.
yeah, you know, I'm quite fond of doing things this way. All right, so here we go.
And again, you could not use the bourbon, you could use brandy.
Yep, any alcohol, and
Yeah.
actually, you can even use water.
Ah, but you don't get that if you use water.
That could have been a disaster. All right, I'm going to pour it back into our measuring cup. And let's go plate.
Right?
So I chose a small little bowl so we could sit the pear up on its side. That's kind of a super pretty one for plating.
Oh, I should wait until you're finished plating.
A little Chanel of the goat cheese cream. Nuts. And brandy syrup.
Bourbon syrup.
Bourbon, thank you.
Oh, Claudia, that is magnificent.
Now, of course, you can use ice cream here,
Yeah.
but I like the tang and the tartness that the goat cheese provides.
Yeah.
The ice cream might be a little sweet, or even sorbet is beautiful here. And like I said earlier, you know, shortbread cookie
Couldn't hurt.
can't hurt, right?
Two, even better. Are those your shortbread cookies?
They are, and they're, guess what? What? They're maple shortbread.
Ah, we have a theme.
A beautiful fall dessert, I think, for a beautiful occasion.
Oh, for the Instagram. That is magnificent. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So next, I believe we have David Burke up with the appetizer.
Okay, let's go to the appetizer.
All right, hi. Let's go make some fish. All right. Follow me. Hi,
Jeff?
what's up? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
I'm
Left
gonna
or
get
right?
to the other side of
On
you.
this side.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are we making?
How you doing? We're gonna make some salmon. Uncooked, could be cooked, but we're gonna serve it uncooked, just crudo. Beautiful salmon, look at this.
Yeah, beautiful. This is for an appetizer. Oh, you took the skin off.
The skin is off, and this is the fat line. We're gonna trim that off too, because I think that's a little fishy,
Okay.
and we don't necessarily. So we'll talk about that.
Okay.
So you got the tail piece is off. Well, this is a good looking piece of fish. So we're gonna do the fish, just sashimi style. We're gonna make a warm vinaigrette with some local mushrooms and Brussels sprouts and lemon, pistachio, pomegranate.
Okay.
Simple, tasty, good. Now the good news here is you can get this done. You can put the fish on a plate, make the gremolata, and then saute the mushrooms a little ahead of time so they have time to sit at the
Great.
table. We got some beautiful plates of red salt here. So you can help me. You know what this is?
That's pepper.
Pepper, okay. Always confused by that. Salt and pepper. So you're gonna do yours and I'll do mine.
I am?
I'll cut the fish if you want. So here's the first things we're gonna do is
Okay.
we're gonna take this dark meat off here, very simply.
All right,
Some people leave it on, and if you leave the skin on, obviously you're gonna have that piece. It's a little fishier, doesn't mean it's bad, but
Okay.
it doesn't look as good for what I'm doing today, see?
yes. So this is going to serve how many people?
Well, this is almost a main course portion.
Okay.
So we're not gonna
for-
need all this. This could feed 3 people, plenty for an app.
Okay.
So what I do here is a little bit of oil down. But I want you to do one that's not like mine.
Okay.
So you gotta put your oil somewhere else,
All right.
not in the middle, okay.
So, Chef, if you didn't have salmon, could you use another sushi grade fish?
You could use any fish you would like,
Yep.
as long as it eats well raw. Some fish eats better, it's more tender, you know?
So,
You wanna cut it no thicker than this.
okay.
A tuna would work, red snapper would work.
So anything you're used to getting at the sushi
Yeah.
bar.
So I'm gonna give you 4 pieces.
Okay. And now I'm going to plate
I
these.
got 4 pieces. Yep.
All right.
Now, hold on.
Hold on.
Well, I'm putting a little lemon down too, because
Okay, this is lemon zest.
I want it to taste good on the bottom too.
Okay,
Yeah.
this
And
is
a little
lemon.
salt underneath,
Okay.
and a little of this. What do you call this again? Pepper.
Pepper.
We have an inside joke on
Okay.
that. So then I lay that down. So now the bottom is seasoned. Now also, you're not supposed to do it like mine.
Well, there aren't that many ways. Okay, so, all right.
All right.
Okay.
You can charge more that one.
Okay.
All right, so we got the salmon here. Next is making a warm vinaigrette. And vinaigrette usually is olive oil, right?
Okay.
So you be pretty good with the olive. Don't be shy, because that's going to be your sauce. So you want to use a decent oil.
Okay.
Mushrooms are cut up already.
Now, are those,
So we could have got 4 orders out of what we did, but this is
Okay.
an appetizer. So shallots,
okay, why shallots rather than onion?
they're just sweeter, nicer. They're not as sulfuric,
Okay.
and they're French, right? At least.
Okay.
Garlic, a little bit of garlic. So I get a little thyme. That in there. So we're just simmering slightly. So when you make, and then we'll talk about, we'll move into the gremolata. Let's do this now, though, too, while that's heating
okay.
up.
Now this is a challenge. How
I'm
to
gonna move
take
my
this-
plate here because that's where I cut the fish.
Okay.
I need a fresh knife. It's funny because I just talked to David, the chef here, and I'm like, I don't know if I've ever really cut a pomegranate
Oh,
because we don't really use them that often. So he said you gotta take it off like petals, like that.
huh.
And there's a method to,
Yeah, there's the other way where you cut it in half and you bang it with a wooden spoon.
this way, half or this way?
You do your thing. Right.
So here, shallots and garlic. You see what we're doing?
Yeah.
A little soft.
Are you letting them color? Or you
Not
just...
color, just brown. You can, if
Okay.
you like toasted garlic flavor and onion, you could. It's not what
Okay.
we're trying to get here.
Yeah.
We're just sweating it. Mushrooms. Use a little bit of thyme in here, right? I'm gonna throw some lemon in now and then
More
a
of the
little lemon at
lemon,
the
yes.
end. All right, so that's just gonna cook. Salt and pepper. I got thyme. I'm gonna put a little more thyme in there. And I'll be able to take that out. Anyway, here are the mushrooms. You see what happens to the oil?
What's happening?
Well, the mushrooms absorb the oil, so it's important to use good oil,
Yes.
right?
Okay.
Extra
And they're looking sort of soft and...
soft. Now we're gonna caramelize them a little bit. Okay,
Is this maybe enough?
that's done. Okay, here we are,
Already
back
in a
to the
little packet.
vinaigrette. Still going good. Salt, pepper, thyme, shallots, lemon, garlic, mushrooms. Okay, we got a pomegranate garnish.
Okay. Now,
And I see what I did here.
I want you to explain how to take the leaves off of a Brussels sprout.
Well, you gotta take the root off,
Yeah.
and then you kinda peel them back a little bit.
And then you just keep cutting the root.
Now you gotta peel it off like till you get to the heart.
Yeah.
Now for the vegetarians,
But then you could cut again. You cut again.
you can keep cutting, but then they're getting a little, they're not as green or leafy. So what I do is just cut this in the quarters.
Yeah.
And if you're not gonna use the fish, do the same dish without the fish and just make it a Brussels sprout side dish.
Okay.
So that looks nice. I'm happy with that. Salmon's here. Now, if you don't want raw fish, you can blowtorch it or just simply put this in the oven, this plate or a plate in your house, under the broiler. I wouldn't say broiler, just put it in the oven for 3 minutes. It'll warm it up, it'll cook it enough, or you can blowtorch.
After you make sure that your plate is oven safe.
Yeah.
Okay.
So salmon. And did we season the salmon? We got
season
salt and
the
pepper on
bottom,
the one side.
Not the top.
We won't have to season the top side because we're going to put the vinaigrette over
Okay.
it. Vinaigrette is seasoned. It isn't vinaigrette yet because it has no what?
Vinegar.
That's right. Look at this. You're like, you can be, you might be Lefto's sidekick, you know?
Yeah.
So vinegar, or lemon juice, which we're using. And see, we're brown. Now the shallots are browning.
Okay, so you're actually going to make a warm vinaigrette right in the pan
Oh, yeah,
using
that's-
the hot oil.
That's right.
Okay.
Like a bacon vinaigrette with spinach salad, similar
Gotcha.
to that thing.
Gotcha.
Right? And you deglaze with lemon. Remember how much oil we put in? You want to put about 1/3 of that of oil, lemon juice.
And that's because your basic vinaigrette
3 to 1.
ratio is 3 oil to 1 vinegar
That's
or
correct.
lemon juice.
More fresh herbs.
Good thing I
Leaves.
read the recipe.
Man, you're good. See, now the leaves you just want to wilt.
Okay.
They just go in the last
Oh,
second,
so you're almost using them like an herb.
like a salad.
Yeah.
Like a warm salad.
Cool.
So now, you got to taste it. Because now it's not really wet vinaigrette, right? You see, it's kind of, the mushrooms have absorbed a lot
Yeah.
of it. That's going to be hot, but you can taste it.
All right.
And what I'll do is add a little bit more oil, but it'll pitch off the oil once it hits the plate,
Delicious.
right?
Delicious.
Simple and delicious, right? So now you gotta put yours, take a spoon. Yeah, I'm gonna put this here. And we can both plate.
Okay, we're going to take out
So-
the sprig.
So I'm gonna kind of put, sprigs you can take out this.
Yeah.
So I'm going around the outside. You can go on top, especially for those that don't like raw fish, because this will start to heat it through. And you see there's enough oil here that it is a vinaigrette. And you can put some of that hot oil on the fish because it's seasoned. You got enough there?
Yeah,
And
sorta.
Yeah, you got enough leaves. You kind of make sure these are in the right spot.
Okay.
The mushrooms smell wonderful.
That looks really pretty.
We got the pesto. I mean, the
Oh, right. Okay, so
gremolata.
let's talk about gremolata. What is gremolata?
What do you know about gremolata?
I know that it's usually parsley, lemon juice, and garlic.
I thought it was an island, no?
The Isle of Grenada?
No, Granada.
Oh,
Yeah,
Grenada.
that's different. Okay. So this is, yeah, it's usually parsley, lemon juice, and lemon, and some crumbs sometimes.
Okay.
Gremolata is textural usually,
So
and you
this-
put on top of pasta or fish. This one is an olive oil base
And
with
you-
fresh herbs and pistachios. And the oil's a little bit on the bitter side, which is kind of nice because this is going to play off nice. So we're going to take a little bit of this.
Okay.
Can add a little bit more salt, I think,
Okay.
and a little
And
bit
this
more.
you can make completely ahead.
This you can make and keep. I wouldn't make it a week ahead, but I'd make it a day or so ahead. You want
Okay.
to keep the nuts as fresh as possible.
Or you could even mix it up and add the nuts at the
Add
last
the nuts at the end. We can make it, and then we're going to put this really on top of each fish.
Okay.
And you got a nice textural crunch, something that's a little toothsome, makes your tongue do a little work. And
This dish is really about assembly, right? There's nothing that you did that's
you don't have to
very
cook
difficult.
it, and then you're going to
Just
sprinkle some of these
assemble it.
pomegranates.
Oh my God,
Here you
that's
go. Very
beautiful.
Christmassy.
beautiful.
And there was a little balsamic that we use. Gives it another, even though it's acid, it's a sweet acid. So,
All right. This looks terrific. Thank
and now,
you.
but now you could also do this and serve this at room temp a half hour later.
Okay.
You know, after you make the main course, put this on the table and still eat it. It'll still eat well at warm. Doesn't have to be hot vinaigrette. And it's pretty. And I also think it's the right portion to first of all, the portion, and then you have a steak, and then you have the wonderful dessert with the goat cheese mousse and the pears.
Well, I know it's
So the
fit-
pears are very seasonal. Key's dish is going to be very hearty and seasonal. It's a great meal.
I know it's finished because I'm going to take an Instagram picture. That is gorgeous.
Yeah, and also the colors work good with the salmon. But if you had a white fish, I would try to use a colored plate
Okay.
because it'll get lost if you had it, for presentation purposes. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, we have our entree with Guy Rouge. Take it away.
Hello, Erika. So, today we are going to do for the main course a filet of beef with port and red wine sauce, fresh truffles. We're going to do also a gratin of a potato and truffles.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do a little fondue of a cabbage and kale, chopped kale, okay? So we are going to start actually with the gratin.
Okay.
The gratin, we're not going to make the gratin because it just takes too long. It takes an hour or two to cook. But as you can see, the gratin has been formed. So by layers of potato, layers of cheese, little bit of truffle, of course, quite a bit of truffle, and then it's creamed and finished with butter.
Okay.
We start with the gratin, like this. We give it a little bit of color, and then we're going to finish it in the oven. During this time, I'm going to also season the filet of beef, salt and pepper.
That's your filet of beef.
Yeah, 8 ounces filet of beef. It's about perfect for a portion.
Now, Chef, the gratin, you say to use Swiss cheese. Do you actually mean like a package of shredded Swiss cheese, or are you telling people to use an Emmental or a Gruyere, or it doesn't really matter?
I say that an Emmental or a Gruyere is kind of best, they are nice cheeses. So, and you can grade it yourself or buy it already graded, that's no problem, so.
Okay, and you're giving that a nice sear in what kind of oil?
Here, I have olive oil, so I'm going to use a bit of olive oil. No big deal.
And you've also made that with sliced black truffles.
Alors, yeah,
Wow.
I suggest to make the gratin to use canned truffle.
Okay.
And a little bit of truffle oil as well. So we give it a nice little golden color, a minute more, and very, very tasty as well. Now you see, I just turned the gratin, you can see.
Oh, beautiful color.
Nice and golden.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to finish it in the oven to give it a little bit of color on both sides and get it hot. Here we are.
Tell people people this cool little device, though, that you have that's just specifically for truffles?
That is a truffle slicer.
Yeah,
They come
beautiful.
either made of wood, like this one, or all metal, depends.
Okay,
Right?
there goes the fillet.
When you season the beef, season it on both sides, okay? Because the seasoning doesn't go across, you know, so on both sides.
Right.
Should be a little more hot. We're going to do that right now. And then it's very important to, you see, I turn it over. It's very important to get the meat to rest for about 10 minutes before you serve it.
Right.
You know, because the juices collect inside the meat, and then it's very tender, it's very juicy, though that is always tender, and you really have a very good meat, you know.
Okay.
So
And
I'm
now
going to sear
you're-
it on both sides as well, on the side.
You're going to be finishing this in the oven. So all
Yeah, it's
you're
nice because
trying
it's thick,
to
you
do
know.
is to color it before you put it in the oven.
You want to seal the meat completely. That's the reason I'm doing that. I'm turning it around like so.
Yeah.
Okay. Like this, the meat is sealed.
Yeah.
When it's going to cook in the oven, you know, the juices are not going to come out. To stay there. Important. Here we are. All right, so we put it in the oven like so. Okay. Oven is set at about 350, 400 degrees. At a restaurant, I set the oven at 350. In a home oven is little less hot, so I would say 400 degrees is a good temperature. Okay. So we're going to
Now
put the
what?
sauce on the road now, as we say. Okay. The sauce is a reduction of red wine and port wine. I add to that a little bit of veal stock because, you know, we have veal stock in our restaurant. If you do not have any veal stock, buy yourself some beef broth, okay? Although beef broth is a little light, so you want to make sure that you have something with more consistency. So they sell those little package of glace de viande.
Yes.
You know if you have heard of that?
Yeah.
If you go to a fancy gourmet store, you're going to find those glace de viande. When you cook with wine, wine has a lot of acidity. You want to kill the acidity, so it's very important to reduce the wine to the maximum. So the port and the red wine are reduced to the maximum, and then after that I add the stock and reduce it again. You can finish with a touch of butter, but as David said before, it's very French, you know. So we.
And you would always advise people to cook with a wine that's good enough to drink.
Yeah. Yeah, that should be. It should be a motto to cook wine that you will drink. Otherwise, don't bother.
Anything labeled cooking wine, you should not cook with.
That's right. Yeah.
Good rule.
So then we're going to prep our kale and cabbage ragu. So, kale, cabbage. The kale are cut in
this is
small
a curly
pieces,
kale.
and the cabbage is just shredded with a mandolin. You know. So, I thought of this dish because we are celebrating Long Island, and potato is Long Island, cabbage is Long Island, and kale is Long Island,
And even the
of course
salt-
truffle is French. So we have to remove little
Even
bit.
the salt is Long Island.
Even the salt is Long Island. So here I'm using sea salt from Amagansett sea salt. As is described by the name, is set in Amagansett, and you harvest the water in the sea, and then you just let it evaporate, and then you get the salt. So they are very good at it. So you see, I put a little chunk of butter in my pan. It's very hot. We don't want to color it too much, and then I put the kale and I put the cabbage together. Now, greens like this, you have to realize they are full of water, but they tend to dry out a little bit. So what I do is that if they are a little too dry, like is the case right now, I would add a touch of water.
Because you want to create steam that's going to help them to wilt.
You bring it back to life. Very easy. During this time, I'm going to move here and I'm going to turn over the beef.
This is
He's doing very
the
well.
mark of a good chef. He actually remembers what he's put in the oven.
So make sure you put salt and pepper on your ragu. If you have a pepper mill, it's even better.
Okay? We'll take that up with David.
So you see, this ragu is nice now because it's melted. This is why we call it in French a fondu. It's just melted. And then we're going to bring our plate.
Fondue means melted
Fondue means melted.
in French.
Like the cheese, the fondue is
Yes,
melted.
Melted.
So we're going to serve it the way we serve it at Mirabel, okay? We're going to put one of those plates like this. We are going to put
And if you don't have a ring like that, you can just use a tuna fish can that you've cut both the top and the bottom off of, and you've cleaned well, so it doesn't taste like tuna anymore.
right, that's good. I'm going to remove the beef. You see. Yeah, so you see, me, I'm kind of used to that. So I say this beef is rare. Huh? You know what to do? That's what I like to do. Here, like this, we don't want to trash our plate.
And okay, so this is a little plating secret. How
Well, you know, we tend to use a lot of those. They are very handy in a restaurant business because you keep the plate fairly clean and together like this, you know. So you see, on one side I put that. Remove the ring. Okay. Then after that we are going to install our fillet of beef. Before I do that, I'm sorry, I'm going to move here. Take this towel, sit the beef on the towel in order to dry it a little bit. I think our gratin would be ready. Oh my God, I cannot reach over there. All right, here we are. You see? So your gratin should have a beautiful color on both sides. And this is, and it's hot as well.
This is a really good example of how just normal food, if you cut it a certain way and plate it a certain way, you can make it look like a restaurant plate.
So put the gratin like so. Now our fillet of beef will be right there. Then we are going to pour gently a little bit of the sauce. Now the sauce is kind of on the sweet side because you have the port and the sauce that is flavored with port and the truffle married together extremely well.
Oh, wow.
So, and then of course, la pièce de résistance is this little guy. It depends how rich you are, you can put as much as you want.
And truffles, really, it's about the smell almost more than the taste, right?
It's a very earthy smell. Yeah, put the rest right there.
Why not?
And then do not forget our little sea salt, okay?
It's amazing how much salt can really bring out the flavor.
You have to be
of the
very,
dish.
very careful with the salt because sea salt is very powerful, okay? So we put a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, and that's it, your dish is ready, and you can serve it as you want.
All right, that is it, and happy cooking. I want to thank all of you at home for cooking with us. And on behalf of Island Harvest, I want to thank you 3 chefs. You're all getting a Taste of the Harvest Award, which is in recognition of your dedication and commitment to enhancing the lives of those on Long Island who struggle with hunger. And I also want to thank the Red Salt Room at the Garden City Hotel for hosting this wonderful event.
Thank you, Erica, for being in the kitchen with us this evening. It was really a great pleasure, as well as being with these 2 great chefs. And I want to thank all of you at home this evening for contributing and for joining in. And your contribution is going to make an enormous difference to the food-hungry people of Long Island. So thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the evening as much as we did.
All right. I enjoyed it because I got hang out with you guys. So thank you, Island Harvest, for bringing Guy and Claudia together with me. We've known each other for decades, and hospitality and good food brings people together. And we're happy to help. I know we're all happy to help, and we need your help, so please try and help support, you know, through food, through money, through your heart. Try to help, you know, your neighbors and your fellow Long Islanders. Thank you.
And I must add that with the Lessing Group, we are so dedicated, you know, to help any causes that are always good causes in Long Island. So that is one of the best, and we are going to continue to be part of it. Thank you.
And now back to the studio.
That was amazing. That was really good stuff. Make you hungry too, huh? That was a behind-the-scenes look at the preparation of a truly gourmet dinner. Our thanks to tonight's featured chefs, David Burke, Claudia Fleming, and Guy Rouge, for an unforgettable hands-on experience. I really like watching that. And thank you, Erica Marcus, food critic for Newsday, for leading our cooking portion of the evening. We also thank the Garden City Hotel and Red Salt Restaurant for inviting all of us into your kitchen, and our Harvest for sourcing and delivering the food to your home. Before you all sit down to enjoy the meal you just prepared, we would like to take a few moments to recognize two extraordinary community leaders honored tonight for their efforts to make Island Harvest Food Bank the extraordinary organization that it is today. So Randy, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Craig. It's a great joy for me to introduce tonight's outstanding Taste of the Harvest Award recipients. I have had the privilege to know and work with both of them on so many Island Harvest initiatives, and I'm so grateful for all they have done for us and those in our community. Our first honoree, Michael Lessing, is a man who leads a hospitality group with a proud heritage spanning 130 years. Michael is the president of Lessing's Hospitality Group and oversees an enterprise of 120 locations encompassing catering, restaurants, food service, and franchise industries. He continues the family legacy, which today represents the fourth, fifth, and sixth generation of Lessings. Michael believes that the success and growth of Lessings is due to the quick adaptation and the ability to pivot. Well, that has been particularly evident during this important year of COVID-19 pandemic. This spirit is easily demonstrated by Lessing's participation in this past summer's summer food service program for Island Harvest, where they helped us serve 167,000 meals over a 6-week period to thousands of kids in need on Long Island. They have never once told us it was nearly impossible to do this during an unprecedented pandemic. It is my pleasure to present the Taste of the Harvest Above and Beyond Award to Michael Lessing and the Lessing's Hospitality Group. Congratulations, Michael.
Thank you, Randy, for an amazing introduction and kind words. Randy has always been a pleasure to work with, and when she called and asked us to be part of the Taste of the Harvest at Home Gala, we of course said yes, as no is never an option when speaking with Randy. We are truly honored to be partnered with Island Harvest. This year has been so difficult for everyone, and particularly for so many Long Islanders. The Lessing family are homegrown Long Islanders and look to help out wherever we can. Our Do Good campaign focuses on local charities, and who better to partner with than Island Harvest. Randy and the entire Island Harvest team are amazing people, and it's our pleasure to have worked with them for so many years. This year they stepped up to help so many people who never thought they'd need help before, but due to the pandemic, found themselves in a unique situation. Lessings also had to change course. As our business was closed down and we pivoted to emergency feeding programs with New York City, and as Randy had mentioned, in fact, with Island Harvest on Long Island, the summer program provided thousands of meals at a critical time to kids in need. Thank you so much from everyone at Lessings who have worked tirelessly during this pandemic for this great honor.
Thank you, Michael. And tonight, we present the Taste of the Harvest First Volunteer Extraordinaire Award to a woman I am proud to call a dear friend. Loretta Selmeyer has been an Island Harvest volunteer since 2000. She has taken on so many roles and responsibilities, and in fact, was the first person who welcomed me to Island Harvest in my first days here. She single-handedly managed a major special fundraising event at schools all across Long Island. Whether it's running food drives or volunteering in the heat of the summer or the cold of the winter, nothing stops Loretta from being on the front lines in advancing Island Harvest's mission. She is a long-standing member of our advisory board, and she plays an active role in all our fundraising initiatives and is always among the first to be called when expert help and guidance is needed. She is a leader who follows and someone whose deep convictions and passion makes her a friend to so many. As the lyrics say, winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you have to do is call and I'll be there. And quite honestly, that's Loretta. I'm honored to present the 2020 Volunteer Extraordinaire Award to Loretta Selmeyer.
Thank you, Randy. 20 years ago, I was afforded the opportunity to devote more of my time to volunteering within the community. When a friend suggested Island Harvest, I'll admit I didn't know very much about it. Fast forward 2 decades, and I've watched Island Harvest evolve into the incredible organization it is today, becoming a beacon of hope to those who are experiencing the far-reaching effects of food insecurity. As a volunteer, I've spoken to hundreds of people, young and old alike, educating them on the issue of food insecurity on Long Island and how it impacts every community, regardless of zip code. And I've also expressed to them that being involved with Island Harvest is being a part of a solution to help alleviate the problem. As an Island Harvest volunteer, I've been given the opportunity to save lives. I've learned that collecting food and giving it to those in need is like handing someone a lifeline. It's an incredibly fulfilling experience. I'm so proud to be a part of this organization, and I thank Randy and the entire Island Harvest team for welcoming me with open arms from day one. I'm extremely grateful for this recognition, and I look forward to many more years of working together with one goal in mind, to end hunger and reduce food waste on Long Island. Thank you.
Thanks, Loretta. And thank you, Michael. Congratulations to both of you. This brings us to the close of our Taste of the Harvest event. Tonight, there was no need to get the babysitter. You didn't even have to put on a fancy dress or jacket and tie. You didn't have to worry about social distancing or the safety of giving hugs, kisses, and handshakes. From the comfort and safety of your own kitchen, your support made a difference. And we hope you had a great time preparing a great meal. You can even have the leftovers tomorrow. So instead of signing off with drive safe, let me remind you to put your food in the refrigerator. Yeah, you have to wash the pots and the pans and the dishes now, but enjoy your gourmet meal knowing that your support of tonight's event is going to help so many Long Islanders who are in need during the pandemic response and long after. From our Taste of the Harvest at Home team, thank you and good night.